Next in the builder category and from synchronized swimming, Gail Adamson. For 22 years in Manitoba, Gail Adamson and synchronized swimming were synonymous. Gail was the ultimate volunteer whose dedication to her sport was above and beyond what would be expected from an employee, let alone a volunteer on the national and provincial synchronized swimming scene, up until her passing at the age of 59 due to lung cancer on April 4th of 1996. Adamson's unique contribution to her sport evolved into basically becoming the personnel department of Synchro Canada, based out of her Winnipeg home. With one hand on the telephone and the other on her fax machine, Adamson's largest contribution to Synchro Canada was in the area of human resources. She was a past president of both the national and provincial governing bodies, before eventually becoming the sounding board for all personnel decisions, including the hiring process and contract negotiations at the national level. Gail developed a comprehensive performance appraisal system for volunteers and staff in 1989. And in 1994, she was instrumental in Synchro Canada's development of a synchro-specific harassment policy, both of which continue to be utilized today. Adamson's contribution stretched to the International Judge Evaluation Committee. Born on July 26, 1936, Gail made Winnipeg her home for most of her life, except for brief stays in Montreal and Edmonton. She and her husband John had 6 children, 4 daughters and 2 sons, who eventually were responsible for drawing her into the sport she held so dear. Each of her daughters became involved in synchronized swimming. Gail's involvement grew stronger. In 1974, she became the first vice president of Synchro Manitoba and became a Level 1 coach the next year, before taking on the association's presidency in 1976-77. She served as the past president for the next 2 years, and in 1980-81 joined the Manitoba Sports Federation Board of Directors, chairing and sitting on numerous committees over the next 10 years. Gail's involvement in her sport at the national level began in 1976 when, as the Manitoba president, she was a member of the National Board of Directors. In 1978, Gail became the vice president of development for Synchro Canada. She served as the national president in 1981 through 83 and the past president from 1983 to 1985. It was in 1985 that her personnel management skills came to the forefront. She was named Personnel Chair of Synchro Canada, and for the next 12 years she volunteered 35 to 40 hours a week to the national body's Human Resources Management. In 1989-90, she led a steering committee for Synchro Canada's extensive human resources audit, and then took the leadership role in initiating and implementing the audit's findings. The result was a more efficient and streamlined national association, where employees' roles are clearly defined, which ultimately lifted morale. Without Gail's help and persistence, these important changes to Synchro Canada's human resources structure would not have become possible. Those who knew and worked with Gail admired her uncommon ability to see the direction of sport in society and understand their impact on the human and financial resources of sport. She could always see the big picture, not just for the sport of synchronized swimming, but for sport in general. For that and for so much more, Gail Adamson will always be highly valued by the sport of synchronized swimming in both Manitoba and Canada.